Rise of the Titans, Chapter 1, The Fall of Humanity. Forward Operating Space, Sector 53. Dark clouds towered over a small, yet well-functioning forward operating base, not too far from the Colorado River. The U.S. military and its allies have been beaten back for decades against the threat of the most ferocious enemy known to man, the Harbingers. Harbingers were found decades ago in the year 2435, when a group of 6 college students and 3 scientists went on a field trip to Aspen Fields in the summer of 2435. What they found started a struggle of survival against an enemy they never even knew. Colony after colony, humanity began to wither and die. In the year 2455, 20 years after the Harbingers attacked, scientists began looking for a way to initiate a counterattack. And in due time, scientists started testing samples of a performance-enhancing drug on their soldiers. 5 years later, after numerous failed attempts, the scientists had made a breakthrough. With the final drug, or argumentation as a scientist would prefer to call it, the U.S. government initiated that the military was to hold off for their saviors to arrive. Another decade passed. With the military already broken enough, the U.S. president initiated Project Aegis. The meaning for Project Aegis was to create the perfect super soldier. One that shows no fear, no conscience, no mercy, and would always remain active in the field, no matter what. With the initial launch of Aegis, the Marines never called them by Aegis soldiers, but instead, militaries around the world referred to them as Titans. Equipment used by the Titans was state-of-the-art, nearly indestructible armor, increased shield strength, upgraded visor, state-of-the-art weapon technology, and lastly, their deadly training. Unfortunately, out of the 400 Titans, only 7 remained. At the edge of the FOB, or Field Operating Base, inside a sniper tower on the far east side of the FOB sat a lone figure, and at the side of the figure was a SDC-902 anti-material sniper rifle, and in his hands was an empty clip of ammunition, possibly for the rifle which he was filling up with 308 caliber rounds. The figure was dressed in the Titan lightweight assault armor, which was comprised of a thin yet well-protected layer of armor all over his body. The armor was slick, lightweight, and was made out of a compound that was made from plasmoid, a rare substance which is hardly found in mining areas, and titanium, making it almost indestructible. His helmet covered his whole head. He never liked to go without his helmet anyways. However, the one peculiar thing about the armor was that it had a name printed on it, and that name was Odysseus. Odysseus was looking at the setting sun to the east, watching it disappear as the gray night skies towered over him. Bullet after bullet, Odysseus loaded his SDC-902 anti-material sniper, the ammo count on the side showing a full clip of up to 8 rounds. 8 rounds, all high velocity armor piercing. Odysseus activated his night vision on his visor, allowing him to see perfectly in the night. It began to rain. The rain fell from above, each drop reminding Odysseus of a drop pad, soaking Odysseus, who stood still in the storm. "Odysseus," a gruff voice called from behind. Odysseus turned around, focusing all attention on who was behind him. There stood a tall male figure, clad in the Titan Grenadier assault armor. It was more protective than the medium or lightweight armor, meaning less mobility in the suit, but he didn't mind. The helmet covered the face of the male in front of him, but his name was printed on the armor, just like Odysseus's. However, the name of this soldier was Achilles. Strapped to the back of Achilles was an M943 assault rifle, whilst in a strap on his thigh was a V108 grenade launcher. Achilles walked over to Odysseus, taking off the helmet. A crack of thunder illuminated the soldier's features. Achilles looked to be in his mid-30s, possessing dark brown hair, a dark brown 5 o'clock shadow, and dark brown eyes. His face was littered with small scars here and there. The biggest one, however, traced from the bottom of his lip to the crown of his forehead, just about missing his right eye. Achilles' skin tone was tanned, but not too tanned, and was from an American descent. "It's getting late, Odysseus. You need your rest," Achilles reminded the Titan. Odysseus looked down for a moment, then pulled his head back up. He started to mime out movements. Because of an injury he suffered from a while back, Odysseus' voice was permanently broken. It was either to save his life by cutting out his vocal cords, or have him die in vain. And after a team discussion, their squad leader, Perseus, decided to have Odysseus alive rather than dead. "I see," Achilles muttered under his breath. Achilles was ordered by the base commander, General Thorn, to take lessons and try to communicate with Odysseus. And within a few weeks, Achilles had been speaking for Odysseus. Whenever Odysseus mimes out an action, Achilles then says it to whoever they're talking to. "Odysseus, Achilles." A voice started from the helmet communicator in both Achilles and Odysseus' helmets. Achilles answered, "This is Achilles. What is it, Cusio?" asked the taller soldier. Odysseus lowered his sniper, turning his attention to his radio instead. The soldier identified as Cusio replied, "General Thorn has a mission for us. Perseus wanted me to radio into you, Odysseus, Ares, and Cerberus to meet in the command center for debrief," replied Cusio. Achilles turned to face Odysseus. The silent sniper was looking now over at the command center on the far side of the FOB. Achilles then turned all attention back to his radio. "Tell Perseus that we'll be there soon. Achilles out," ended Achilles. Achilles switched out the communicator for now, putting back on its Titan Grenadier assault helmet. Achilles turned to face Odysseus again. "Let's get a move on, Odysseus. Whatever General Thorn has for us, we better be ready. We'll stop by and get Cerberus, if he's where he is normally, then head to the command center together." Odysseus nodded. Strapping the sniper rifle to his back, Odysseus began to walk towards the elevator leading to the ground of the FOB. Achilles, after realizing that Odysseus was leaving, followed behind him. Odysseus entered the code to call for the elevator, and there he waited with Achilles for the elevator. Finally, after several seconds of waiting, the door opened, showing an empty interior of the elevator. Odysseus and Achilles entered the elevator. The door slid to a close behind them. Odysseus pressed the button. Afterwards, the elevator started to descend. Colonel Perseus, the leader among the Titans, stood inside the command center. Cusio, the soldier that Perseus ordered to contact the others, stood over at the radio. Cusio was a middle-aged soldier and was actually one of the most technical soldiers in Perseus' unit. Cusio was from an African-American descent, meaning his skin tone was darker than others in the unit, whilst he possessed dark green eyes and dark brown hair, which was cut in military fashion. Cusio's armor was a CQC variant of the Titan combat armor, providing maximum cover up close, making him like a walking tank. His loadout was an O243 combat shotgun, which held 12 shells and a V132 SMG, holding a maximum of 42 rounds. Perseus, on the other hand, was from a British descent. His hair was dark brown, a longish ponytail at the end which was tied up, whilst his eyes shone a dark blue color. A 5 o'clock shadow was present on his face, as were a few cuts, scars, and burns from previous engagements against the Harbingers. Perseus wore the standard Titan medium assault armor, durable and suitable for engagements in the field. His loadout was the M943 assault rifle, just like Achilles, and the M51 pistol. The pistol had an alternate fire mode, which allows it to fire a 3-round burst instead of a singular round. Perseus, Kushiel asked from across the room. Unknown to Kushiel, Perseus was deep in thought. The mission that he was given a dossier on was far too risky. The Primordium, one of the last remaining ships on the planet, was being refitted for space travel to the Nova Cluster, far beyond the Milky Way. The Titans had been called in to extract an AI, or artificial intelligence, from the clutches of a fallen team of Marines, and take it straight to the Primordium, then board the Primordium to escape Earth. Even though Perseus and the Titans weren't officially related to Earth, Perseus felt as if he were turning his back on his home once more. Perseus, Kushiel asked a bit louder than last time. Perseus didn't answer. Instead, he looked down at his shaking right hand, a small twitch he had developed over the years in service. Perseus felt his hand shake quickly. The vibrations coming from it felt as if they were being tossed back into his body. Perseus! Shouted Kushiel, shaking his colonel, trying to see if he could knock some sense into his leader. Perseus snapped out of the trance he was in, locking all attention on Kushiel, who let go shortly afterwards. What is it, Major? Asked Perseus, using Kushiel's rank instead of his actual name. Kushiel sat back over by the radio, his helmet off, placed down on a wooden crate, as Kushiel started to lay out shotgun rounds to load his trusty shotgun. Ares, Cerberus, Achilles, and Odysseus have replied. Ares said he wasn't too far away, so he should be here soon. As for Cerberus, he didn't actually say where he was, but knowing Achilles and Odysseus, they'd be over in one of the sniper towers, replied the Titan. Perseus took interest in the whereabouts of his men, then motioned for Kushiel to continue. Also, General Thorn called in. He said that we'd have to start moving soon. The Primordium isn't going to wait forever, Colonel, stated Kushiel. Primordium, another voice started. The two Titans in the room turned to the doorway. With suspicious looks on their faces, there, standing in the doorway, was another Titan, Ares. Ares was a flamer, or as the squad would call him, the pyromaniac of the Titans. His F-136G flamethrower was hooked up to a dual fuel system, whilst as a backup weapon he held the V-132 SMG. Ares' face was shown, for he had the helmet tucked under his shoulder. One side of his face was completely fine, whilst the other side, not all of it, was devastated by a massive burn. His hair was a light brown, whilst his one gray eye shone brightly, brighter than his other eye, which was plain white. The way in which Ares said it made it clear that Ares was from a Scottish background. Such a grand ship, don't you agree, Perseus? Not just Ares either, Perseus, another voice said. From the other doorway, Titans Odysseus, Achilles, and another one waited. The other Titan with Achilles and Odysseus was Cerberus. Cerberus was another rifleman, like Perseus, and wore the medium assault gear, and carried the same weapons as Perseus. However, Cerberus' right forearm shone brightly, for it was made of full metal. The arm was to work with some of the things inside the suit. Cerberus' helmet was tucked under his left arm, showing his age and descent. His hair was short and a complete shade of black, whilst his eyes shone dark brown. How's it going, Colonel? Asked Cerberus. Perseus, who turned to the holoprojector behind him, chuckled. At the moment, Perseus, I'm trying to get Kushiel to contact General Thorn for our mission. I have the dossier, however there are still a few details I need to get before we head out, Perseus explained. Kushiel, hurry up with that. Every second that we lose, the closer the Harbingers get to destroying the Earth, ordered Perseus. Kushiel grumbled, slightly annoyed at the pace that Perseus wanted him to work at. However, before Kushiel could lay another hand on the holoprojector, it started up. A holographic projection of a male whose hair was black and possessed golden eyes, whilst his skin tone was slightly pale, stood firmly in position. Deimos, Kushiel identified. It's good to hear from you again. The male, who Kushiel identified as Deimos, wore the medic variant of the Titan assault armor. Whilst his helmet was tucked under his left arm and on his back was the M943 assault rifle, and the M51 pistol was in a holster on the armor. It's good to hear from you too, Kushiel, replied Deimos. Now, let me talk to Perseus, Deimos demanded politely. Kushiel nodded, stepping away from the holoprojector and allowing Perseus to talk one-on-one with Deimos. Sorry for the steep measures, Perseus, but the stakes demand it. It doesn't matter, Deimos, replied Perseus. What do you need? Deimos breathed in, then breathed out, obviously stressed about where he was. Deimos was positioned in a boneyard, which was rumored to be the area where the Primordium was. General Thorne wanted me to handle your briefing, Colonel, so here it goes. Exactly 2 days ago, the ship carrying the AI Gamma, the AI that was supposed to be here on the Primordium, was shot down by an orbiting harbinger ship. 14 hours later, we responded with Marine fire teams, which have been declared MIA. They've called out again, saying that they're pinned down by hostile vehicles not too far from the boneyard. General wants you and your team to head where those Marines are and to retrieve the package. When you've retrieved the AI, take it to the Primordium, and a VTOL will be waiting for you on the landing pad Delta, where myself, General Thorne, and Admiral Jones will be to get the package, and you guys off the planet. A VTOL is already prepped for the mission. Gather whatever weapons and ammo you need and head out to the VTOL. Is that understood, Colonel? Asked Deimos. Perseus and the rest of the Titans nodded. Understood, Deimos. We'll be ready to move out in 15. Perseus out. Perseus ended. Deimos nodded. Good luck, Colonel. I'll see you at the landing pad. The holographic projection of Deimos faded away, leaving the Titans alone in the room. Perseus turned to face his men, analyzing their faces, save for Odysseus, who kept his helmet on. Each of them looked determined, and they have been since their first deployment years ago. During that same deployment, when the Titans were first combat tested, the Titans took 31 losses. Alright, Titans, I want each and every one of you prepped for combat. As soon as you've got your ammo, meet me at the landing pad for the VTOL. Understood? Asked the Colonel. Each one of the Titans in the room, save for Perseus, nodded and stood to attention. Each Titan took a breath in and complied. Yes, Colonel.
Yes, Colonel.
Perseus nodded. Fade out. Fall out, Titans, Perseus said, taking first leave from the room. Seconds later, the others followed on out, all heading to the armory to get their weapons checked, ammo loaded, and to be sure that their armor was ready for combat. U.S. launch site, Boneyard, Sector 37. Deimos looked down at the line of Marines before him, each of them kitted out with M943 rifles and M51 pistols. Deimos stood over a foot taller than the Marines, making them feel intimidated by the second lieutenant's size and strength. Their armor was basic, nothing like what the Titans were wearing. The second lieutenant put his hands behind his back. 10 hut! Commanded Deimos, catching the attention of the Marines immediately. The Marines' weapons snapped to their side, their faces clean of all emotion. Let me remind you as to why you are here, Marines. You are here to hold this position. You are here to ensure the safety of the people aboard the Primordium. And lastly, you are here to kick some alien ass, just like in training.
Hoorah!
The Marines said in perfect sync. Every dead alien brings us closer to our goal of saving humanity. Marines, listen up, and listen well. A team of highly trained super soldiers, the last of the Titans, are going to retrieve the AI Gamma for the Primordium's automated defenses. I want each and every one of you ready for when they retrieve the AI, and are en route to this base. They will bring an army of aliens with them. Hoorah! Deimos said to the Marines. Even though they'd be faced with immediate death, the Marines didn't flinch. They ran the simulations in basic, they know how to kill, they know what to kill, and they know that they're trained killers.
Hoorah!
Deimos smiled, though it was invisible due to his helmet covering the whole of his face.
Hostiles detected. All forces prepped for an all-coming attack. I repeat, get your asses ready, Marines. We've got incoming. Gun towers, I want you to take out as many of those dropships as you can. Marines, repel their ground elements. Deimos, be sure that they don't breach the landing pads. Thorne, out.
Deimos looked over to the main door at the end of the corridor and brought his rifle into his hands. You heard him, ladies. Get moving. I want every one of you on defensive deployment. Move out! Deimos yelled as the door leading to the outside opened, and already the gun towers placed along the outer sky wall were already firing on both air and ground units, trying desperately to hold on to what little hope that was left for their planet. Deimos looked up towards the sky, looking at the gray skies which were completely infested with harbinger aircraft. So this is the way it all ends. Guard Zone, Sector 42. The VTOL engines filled the sky with a high whirring noise. Odysseus sat on the ramp, which was facing downwards, whilst Ares and Achilles sat on the side gun turrets. Sitting down on the seats, Perseus, Cerberus, and Cusio were loading their weapons, as well as talking strategies on how they'd execute the mission. Long-range jammers will neutralize our long-range communications, so we cannot get contact outside of the dark zone. Short-range communications, however, will still be active, Kushia reported. Then we better hope to God that they're safe in there. I don't want a repeat about what happened to Athena, Perseus hoped, remembering the twisted death of Titan 093 Athena. A few days out of basic, very little deployments, and Perseus allows one of his teammates to die on their 6th or 7th deployment. When we touch down, I want everyone focused. Check your corners and be sure that you're on task. Understood? Gopi, Kushia replied. You got that, boys? Yes, and so does Odysseus. Damn straight, Ares replied. Perseus nodded, taking into account that his team understood the mission objective and knew what they'd be up against once they touched down. The intercom sounded.
Alright, Titans. We're in range of their anti-air guns. Be ready to activate jump packs to get down,
reported the pilot. The Titans knew what to do from here on out. No support, no way of getting out, not until they finished their objective. The ramp which Odysseus was sitting on opened a bit further, and behind them, plasma from their anti-air guns fired off, just barely missing their target. The Titans' built-in jump packs will guide them down safely to their target. All they have to do is activate their armor lock in time.
Drop in 3, 2, 1.
When the pilot ended, the Titans jumped out of the back of the VTOL, initiating their jump packs to guide them safely down. Kushia looked over to the VTOL, which was almost out of the area. Unfortunately, the VTOL was struck down by a single plasma round, sealing the fate of its pilot. Kushia looked down below. The fires of war still left their mark. This was the way it all ended. Earth and humanity would cease to exist. It was all placed in the hands of these 6 men. This is the fall of humanity.